You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. LSU opens up at Clemson. We are a month and a day away from August the 30th, arguably the most anticipated opener in college football. Maybe Texas, Ohio State with something to say about that. Clemson set to hit the practice field. Jon Blau, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here to kind of look at some of the Clemson storylines. Jon, we appreciate you hopping back on, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing really well, man. Tired of talking, ready to actually watch some football as we get closer to it. What is the biggest storyline there for Clemson in fall camp that people are talking about?
That's an interesting question. I mean, obviously, most of the roster is back to Clemson, so not too many position battles, maybe running back, where you have Adam Randall, who's a converted wide receiver, moving to running back. Obviously, have to fill the shoes of a workout horse in Phil Maffa, who was the guy who got pretty much all the carries. But I think just generally, it's just a team that's going to live up to the hype, because a lot of off-season predictions, of Clemson getting back to the playoff, making a deep run, maybe even being a national title contender. But everybody's remembering, at least here, that last year they got beat at home by Louisville. You barely beat Pittsburgh. You lost to South Carolina, backed your way into the playoff. Are you really a better team just because you bring back all the same players? And so how have they improved, if they've improved at all?
Yeah, where do you fall on that line, Jon? Because we have had that conversation. I mean, you got a fifth-year senior quarterback, a really good coach, maybe the best defensive line in the country. But there are all the things that you mentioned as well. Like if Miami doesn't blow a big lead at Syracuse, Clemson doesn't make the playoff or doesn't make the AC championship. So where do you fall on that line?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to be realistic about it. That there's kind of a 50-50 shot here. I mean, like you said, lots of really important pieces coming back. You have a senior quarterback. We saw Cade Klubnik get so much better from sophomore year to junior year. You kind of expect maybe another jump junior to senior year. A receiving core is probably the best they've had in a really long time. A couple of freshmen, Wesco and Moore, who should be much better as sophomores, and a whole offensive line coming back. So, I mean, this is a team that should be able to score a lot of points. But, again, South Carolina only scored 14 points on them. So just because you bring everybody back doesn't mean you're better. So it remains to be seen. It's kind of like a coin flip for me in terms of whether this is the same team with a lot of the same players that do kind of a lot of the same things, or this is just a team that's really developing over time, and you're going to see them make many, many more plays because they have so much continuity and chemistry, and they've gotten older and more mature and better.
Jon Blau's with us, Clemson Beat Writer for the Post and Courier. It's interesting because whenever we talk about Clemson, at least from the outside for so long with the transfer portal, it was that Dabo wasn't really interested. This is a year, though, where they did dabble in the portal. Who are maybe some of the impact guys or positions that Clemson did add?
Yeah, so they brought in 3 players in the transfer portal this offseason, and they brought in 2 since 2018, and they were both backup quarterbacks prior to this offseason. So a huge number compared to what they've done in the past. So Will Heldt, the defensive end from Purdue, he's supposed to be the most impact guy in terms of they did not have a defensive end opposite of TJ Parker last year. So you bring in Heldt, 6'6", 265, pass rusher. That will really balance that line out, kind of complete that line. It's kind of what they're hoping for. A linebacker, Jeremiah Alexander, a 5-star coming out of high school, a teammate of Peter Woods, who's the star defensive lineman for Clemson. He's going to be a really key depth piece at linebacker. I don't think he's going to start at linebacker, but the guy you're going to see on the field a lot. And then the wild card is Tristan Smith, who's a 6'5" receiver they got from Southeast Missouri, who they came into the spring, Dabo Swinney said, with 5 guys who they felt they could start a receiver, and they came out with 6 because he thought Tristan Smith really proved himself. So all 3 of those guys can have an impact. Held, I would say, is the guy that is going to have the biggest impact overall, you would think.
Jon, is there a question that they'd like to get answered in fall camp on either side of the ball?
Yeah, again, who is the running back? Obviously, if Cade Klubnik is as good as everybody thinks he is with that receiving core, you're going to throw the ball a whole lot, and you're going to make defenses push defenders out of the box. But you still need a guy to keep opposing defenses honest. And so is Adam Randall, who has been a receiver for 3 years, really the answer there? Is it a young freshman like a Gideon Davidson, who was a 4-star recruit, one of the best running back recruits in the nation? Who is going to be that guy who would kind of take pressure off of Cade Klubnik and keep that offense on schedule? We really got to figure that out in fall camp, because right now it's a lot of question marks. Again, if your most experienced player has played receiver for 3 years and now you're trying to running back, that's a little bit of an open question.
Jon Blau is with us. A couple more minutes here. Clemson Beat Writer there at the Post and Courier. And get him on Twitter at Jon, Jon_Blau, BLAU, at Jon_Blau. Great time to follow as we get closer to the opener with LSU and Clemson, which obviously, Jon, has been a huge focus here. Brian Kelly hasn't hidden from that this offseason, that they are focusing so much on an opener, which is a little bit of a deviation from what he's done in his entire career. How much focus is there on LSU as their team, coaches, just the fans, narrative all up there? How much of the focus is on LSU here a month from the opener?
I'm sure there's a huge focus internally inside the building, but Dabo has been pretty smart not to feed LSU any bulletin board stuff back, because obviously we've all been hearing Brian Kelly talking about our Death Valley is the Death Valley, and Death Valley Jr. over there. That's definitely been heard by a lot of people over here in Clemson. But you ask Dabo Swinney, you ask the players about it, they just say, well, that doesn't matter. We're going to settle on the field August 30th. And Dabo says, well, go research the facts. And our Death Valley was actually the first one. It was 1945. But they've been pretty diplomatic about it, I would say. But they're definitely talking about it. Dabo can be pretty political on the outside and very savvy, again, of not really feeding the other team any bulletin board material, talking about how great they are. But I'm sure on the inside, in those meeting rooms, Dabo has mentioned these Brian Kelly comments at least a couple times, I would bet.
Jon, I'm glad you brought up Dabo, because he's such an interesting character. He's been at Clemson now since 2008. There was the whole idea of Clemsoning. He blew that out of the water. They win 2 national championships. And then it kind of felt like maybe they've wandered, maybe ceded that spot at the top of college football to Georgia. Where is the temperature with Dabo and the program right now?
Yeah, I think getting back to the playoff made everybody a little more content. I mean, those 3 years outside the playoff, especially after a streak of 6 straight, obviously those national championship games, winning a couple, I think there was a lot of negativity over those years in terms of just the fall off. And obviously we're paying Dabo Swinney all this money, the same as a Nick Saban. Why can't you just be Alabama? Which obviously is really hard, especially out of Clemson. It doesn't have quite the same budget. But I think, again, getting back to the playoff really helped things. I think a lot of people have kind of put it into perspective that, hey, you just had a couple of generational quarterbacks, and Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence back-to-back. That is not the way things normally work, and I think fans were reminded of that with DJ Uyunglele and then kind of some of the struggles that Cade Klubnik had to go through early in his first season as a starter. So I think there's been perspective about it, and I think maybe even a little bit of positivity that, hey, Dabo's had a great record in terms of retention. He's been able to keep all of this talent in-house and be able to develop it and grow it. This is just kind of the year where it has to kind of all come to fruition and show that, again, you can bring guys back, but they have to get better. They have to play at a certain level where you're beating LSU's, where you're beating South Carolina, getting to the playoff, maybe making a deep run. So this is a huge year for Dabo, I think, to kind of continue to move that narrative in the right direction for him.
He is Jon Blau from the Post and Courier covering the Clemson Tigers. Jon, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And it's our pleasure. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.